Hi, sweethearts. Today is Monday, so this is Sufia doing Monday's video. And this week we're talking about feminine versus masculine trans individuals. And this is something that my partner and I talk about a lot because both of us are really working with gender identities in very different ways. So with my partner transitioning, they're really looking at what masculinity means and what being F to M means in all of its different complexities. And at the same time, I'm kind of looking at a deeper level what being a cis woman means and how I present and how that affects my experience in this world and the gender roles that we fall into because of these presentations. So one of the first things that I thought about when thinking about this subject is just how much in our society we adhere to a binary, and how we, even in trans conversations, can often get stuck in a man, woman, male, female binary. And something that I feel really strongly about is that we should recognize that not everyone falls into that binary. Clearly, if we're talking about trans individuals, that's outside of the male-female binary to begin with. There's also intersex folks, there are gender non-conforming folks, genderqueer folks, individuals who are born with all different arrangements of chromosomes, so XXY, XYY, I'm not even sure of all the biology behind that, but I know that there are a lot of individuals who don't fit into these nice categories of man and woman, and that especially in the trans conversation, it's important to recognize that those differences exist. And the second thing that popped into my head about this is privilege, that when you have an individual who has lived life as a female-bodied person and has been socialized as a woman, and then is transitioning and being read by society, friends, family, whoever, as a man, that adds a level of privilege that wasn't previously experienced. And so, for instance, with my partner, who is white, recognizing that moving from a white lesbian identifying woman to being read as a white man is a very different thing, and sort of allows access to different parts of society and different aspects of privilege than were previously experienced. So that's something we're talking about a lot right now with my partner at work being read by students and other staff as a man, and having experiences with a veteran student or an older white male student saying, like, us men, we're just socialized this way, is a really interesting experience for my partner. And so, I think that it's really understandable for individuals who feel like, internally, my soul, my person, my identity is male, and wanting their body to represent that, and really stepping into this man identity. That is one experience, and that is completely to be honored. And then there's a lot of people who don't feel that stepping into a man identity is where they want to go, that maybe being more genderqueer or gender ambiguous, or not living, I guess you could say, in stealth or passing, but wanting to still be identified as a trans individual, or being very out about that, is something that happens. And so that's another sort of facet of trans identities to be recognized. And so I think one of the crucial questions to think about is what implications exist when an individual is being read as a male, and how is that affecting behaviors. And so specifically, if something my partner and I have talked about is if, so in a certain situation, they want to be seen as male because it's safer, which is valid, and then reacts to me as their partner in a certain way, what happens is this really interesting gender dynamic where, I, as this female presenting partner, am being put into a gender role that I may or may not be comfortable with in our relationship. So being a married couple, the man and wife does this, man does this, is something that we don't want in our relationship. And what can end up happening, with something we've talked about seeing a lot in the trans community around us, is these hypermasculine behaviors happening. So trans individuals or transitioning individuals acting in misogynistic and chauvinistic ways to their partners or friends or other people around, because what that ends up doing is these behaviors are seen as masculine. And so it's just really tricky, because I think that every individual should be able to, act in a way that feels comfortable to them, but not at the expense of anyone else. And so, I think that it's never okay to shame someone who is transitioning for, one, not being masculine enough, because you never know where that individual is coming from, and two, not for the trans individual to never shame someone else because it is being seen as more masculine of them. So what we've talked about in our relationship and with my partner's transition is really questioning the binary and really questioning blending into society in a way that being who we are individually, so who my partner is as a trans individual, a gender ambiguous individual, is okay, and that they don't need to blend into society and say, oh, I'm a man and nothing more, and that recognizing a trans identity is completely okay, and it's okay to be seen and not be othered anymore, but be recognized as who we are and accepted exactly as that. And that what's happening for me in the same time is saying, it's okay to be feminine presenting and strong. It's okay to be feminine presenting and empowered, and just questioning gender roles and gender binaries in general, and that I would encourage anyone who feels the same to continue to do that. And of course, I recognize that there are issues of safety. We live in a small mountain town in the South, and in what it considers itself like a progressive town, but a very rural area, and sometimes it's not safe, and that is completely understandable. Why individuals would want to do certain things that make them seen in a certain way, pass as male easier. But I would say never at the expense, never to do something to call out to women in a derogatory manner because they're being seen as a man in that case, or to never do anything that's degrading someone else. So I think basically it comes down to being true to yourself, whatever that looks like, and especially if you are a trans man that wants to wear lipstick, I say go for it. That's excellent. Whatever it is that makes you happy, especially if you're living in harmony with other people. So there's week 54, trans versus feminine, masculine versus feminine trans folks. And this is Sufia signing off. Until next week, take care.